In this video, you're gonna learn how to color into Procreate, use the geometric tool to create perfect shape and adjust them, how to use different effects for your drawing, how to use the grid and the symmetry, how to use the clipping mask, how to animate your drawing, and way much more. Hi everyone, my name is Jean Vermeersch and it's been 6 years I'm drawing on Procreate. And in this video, you're gonna learn all the interesting features that you can use into Procreate. And I'm gonna show you that from scratch. At the end of this video, you will know how everything works into Procreate. I'm gonna show you all the most advanced features of Procreate, as well as how to do also simple things like creating a canvas, set up a size, how the interface of the application works. If you are completely new to Procreate, I really advise you to watch that video entirely because it's gonna save you a lot of times. And if you are not new to Procreate, you already know some stuff, but not everything. I have put a timeline of everything I'm talking about in this video in the description box below, so it will allow you to move quickly to the part of the video that you want to watch. Like that, you are not forced to watch that video again and again. If you like that video, please give it a thumbs up. You can subscribe if you like it as well. I am doing video about drawing in French and in English now on my channels, and you can find also in the description box below all my social network stuff, so feel free to check and subscribe if you like it as well. So now, without further ado, let's get started. So here we have the gallery. This is where you're gonna find all the drawing you're gonna make with Procreate. Here, as you can see mine. When you open the app, it should be almost empty. You'll just have some example provided by Procreate. Right now, I'm gonna show you how to create a canvas. So for that, you need to click on the plus icon in the upper right section of the screen, and you're gonna see some preset canvas that are already made. For example, if I click on the screen size canvas, I'm gonna have a canvas that's gonna fit the size of the screen, and here I can just draw if I want to. But I can also create some custom canvas, and for that I just need to come here at the bottom right of the screen after having clicking on the plus icon, and I have create custom size, and now I can select the width and the height as I want. I can, for example, create a canvas with 1920 as width and 1080 as height, which will give me a perfect size canvas for making drawing for YouTube. You can also select the level of DPI. This is something that has to deal with the color of your drawing. After that, you can select a profile color. So you can choose between P3 or sRGB. I prefer P3 because it gives a wider range of color. And then you can just give a name to your canvas, so like that the next time, if you want to reuse it, you just have to select it when you create a new canvas. So now we have created our new canvas, and you can see the interface of the app. So the interface is pretty simple. You have the button gallery. If you click on it, you go back to your gallery. On the left side, you have two sliding bars. The first one allows you to select the size of your brush, and the second one allows you to adjust the opacity of your brush. So if you want to have it a little bit transparent, you have to lower it down. The little square on the middle is just a quick menu for having different actions selectable. After that, in the screwdriver's icon, you have the action menu, which allow you to do a lot of stuff like importing or taking picture with the iPad into Procreate. You can add text as well. After that, you have the canvas menu where you can crop and resize a document. You can also flip a canvas vertically or horizontally. So for showing that, I'm gonna open another drawing. It will be better. This one will be fine. So if I click on flip, you can see that it flips. In this menu, you also have the drawing guide, which is about everything regarding the use of the grid in Procreate. For access that, you turn it on, then you click on Edit Drawing, and you have access to the different types of grid. You have 4 types. The first one is 2D grid. You can adjust the size of the cells right here. You can tap a number, so 32 pixels, let's say, but you can also adjust it by sliding it from the left to the right. Here you can adjust the thickness of the line of your grid. Just under, you can adjust the opacity of your grid, and on the top you can select the color you want for your grid by sliding the bars to the colors of your choice. After that, you have the isometric grid. That's the same setting, but you can just start to draw some drawing with a view from above. I'm going to activate here the drawing assist to show you how it works. The drawing assist is snapping your lines to the grid that you have selected, and you can draw only on the same direction that the lines of your grid, which is pretty handy for having a straight line quickly. And so I can draw some shapes like this can be the start of a building or whatever. After that, you have the perspective grid that allows you to create vanishing point for your drawings. This one works in another way. you have to click somewhere on the screen and it's gonna create a vanishing point. You can move it wherever you want by selecting it. You can also create another one. So here you can see it has created another grid, and in the same way you can move it wherever you want, and you can start to play like that to see what you can do. That's perfectly fine. And you can create another one again, whatever is on top or at the bottom, and you can adjust it as you wish to make it fit your future drawing. And when you're done, if you have turned on the drawing assist, the line gonna snap your grid on the layer that you have selected. But you can also turn off the drawing assist for drawing freely on your new grid. That's a perfect tool for when you are looking for new angles for drawing. And the last grid is a very interesting one. It is called Symmetry. In terms of setting, it's the same things that the other grids. You can adjust the size, colors, but you have also a new menu at the bottom of the screen with different type of symmetry. You have vertical, horizontal, cadran or quadrant, I don't know how to say that in English. It's gonna help you to create different things. So if we go on the vertical one, everything I'm drawing on one side appears on the other side, and this works as well with the QUICKSHAPE tools. It allows you to create geometric shape quickly. For example, here you can see on the top of the screen I have created a quadrilateral, but if I put a finger on it, on the screen I mean, it's gonna turn my quadrilateral as a perfect square. I can move the blue node that you can see for fitting my drawing, and you can see as well that every changes I'm doing, it appears on the other side of the screen, so the symmetry tools work perfectly. You have also the horizontal symmetry, and so it's gonna do the same things but horizontally this time. After that, you have the quadrant, so everything you're gonna draw in one part of the screen gonna appear on the other part of the screen as well. By the way, what I'm drawing has absolutely no sense, but that's okay. It is just for showing you like this, you understand it well. And so if I click on Edit Shape, I can adjust my shape as well, and you can see that it changed everything in every side of my screen. And finally, you have my favorite one, which is radial. The radial symmetry allows you to make some very nice things, like for example, you can do some mandalas if you like that, or just create some nice pattern in general. And now, if I'm drawing somewhere on my screen, it appears on each side of my screen as well, and you can get very, very creative by creating a lot of motifs. So now let's talk about gestures, like undo, for example. You just have to tap with 2 fingers on your screen at the same time, and it's gonna undo what you've just done. If you want to redo it, you can just tap with 3 fingers. If you want to copy something that you like and you want to pass it to another layer or canvas, for example, what you can do is with your 3 fingers, you just slide from top to bottom, and you have that little menu that appears with different actions that you can choose. I can copy what I have selected and copy it in another layer. So I create another layer in clicking the plus icon. You just slide from top to bottom again with your 3 fingers, and you're gonna click on pass this time, and that works fine. But you can also do that into a new canvas. So I can create another canvas, for example. I slide down with the 3 fingers on the screen, I just passed, and it works as well. Now let's talk about how you can organize the gallery. So here on my gallery, I have a bunch of illustrations I have made, like for example some pages of my comic book, but how I have created that folders. That's pretty easy. If I want to create a folders, I just have to select a drawing, move it over another drawing, hold it for a second, and it's gonna create a new stack. I can rename that stack in tapping on it. I'm gonna give it a new name, like cats, let's say. And if I want to change the image that is on the cover of my stack, I just need to move the image I want to show on the cover in first. If I want to put some other drawing in that stack, I just have to slide it over that specific stack, hold it for a second, it's gonna flash a bit, and that's how you organize things in the gallery. So here you have everything about sharing your works. So you can share it in Photoshop format, Procreate format, PDF, PNG, JPEG, TIFF, and also animated GIF, which allows you to make animation. But we'll talk about that later in the video. After that, you have the preferences where you can adjust some stuff. Me, I put light interface, for example, but you can have the dark one like everyone seems to like to have it. You also have the right hand interface that moves the control tools of your line size and opacity to the right for left-handed person. You can also click on pressure curves to adjust the pressure of the pencil. You also have all the gesture control. You can turn some on or off, and you can do whatever you want, basically. After that, here you have the adjustment menu with some important tools like LIQUIFY, but we will talk about that later. Here you have the selection tools. Here, for example, I'm on freehand selection, so I can just draw around whatever I want to select and then move it in clicking on the arrows at the upper left side of the screen. Or I can also select something and then tap on duplicate it, and it's gonna create a new layer with only what I have inside my selection. You can also select things with rectangle shape or with ellipse, like that. You can invert your selection and it's gonna select everything that is out of your selection. You can do, again, whatever you want. In tapping on the arrow icon, you're gonna choose the move tool and it's gonna by default select everything inside a layer. Here you have everything about the brush. So you have your brush gallery provided by Procreate, where you can select the brush you want, create some new one, import some, whatever. On the right of the brush menu you have the smudge tool, then the eraser tools. Here you have your layer menu. If you want to select different layer for moving them, you just have to slide it to the right and then you'll be able to select multiple layer. If you want to deselect some, you just have to slide to the right again. And finally here you have the color wheel where you can select your color with the classic, the value, and here you have the palette. If you want to create a palette, you just have to click on plus. For rename it, you just have to tap on Untitled Palette and the keyboard will pop up. You just give it a name, so I'm gonna call it Jean, and each color that you are selecting on the color wheel can be stored there in every palette that you want. If you go back to your palette, if you tap once on one of the square, it's gonna store your color. If you select another color, you can do the same. It's easy as that. Now let's say that I want to redraw this little character here. In all the settings you have in your brush, you need to know this one, Streamline. Now you can see it is turned off, and so if I draw something, you're gonna see that the lines can be kinda shaky. The line isn't perfect because there is only me that control the line at that very moment. It can be fine, but we can make it better. If I activate the streamline, it is gonna be different. You're gonna see that the streamline gonna force Procreate to smooth my line, and this is way much better. So if I draw some curves like this, you can see that a force is applied to my lines afterward, and this is the streamline. It is very easy and you can apply that in every brush that you want. And now because of that you can have a very nice and smooth outline, which is perfect when you are doing some line art. That's one of the most important traits that you need to know if you want to do some illustration work into Procreate, because it's gonna allows you to achieve a lot of stuff. So I have already mentioned the QUICKSHAPE tool, but I go back to it because it is a very important one. So if you draw something and you stay the pencil on the screen, you have a shape that has been generated depending what kinds of shape you have drawn. If you put one finger on the screen at the same time that you hold the pencil on the screen, it's gonna turn your shape as a perfect one. When the pencil gets off the screen, you can see that a little menu appears at the top of the screen called Edit Shapes. If you click on it, and here you can see it proposing me ellipse or circle, I have blue node that appears on my shapes, and you can select them to adjust your shapes at the size that you want. So let's say, for example, I want to adjust that shapes to be the shapes of the head of my character. I can just adjust my shapes this way. But this tool also works with weird shapes, so if I draw something very weird like that and stay pressed, it's gonna create a shape that's gonna match that. And when I release the pressure, I can just tap on Edit Shapes and edit my shapes the way I want it to. Now I'm going to show you how to make a straight line. So you just have to draw a line, you stay pressed, and it's going to create a straight line. If you put one finger on the screen, it's going to snap your lines at an angle, and when you release it, you can adjust the length of your line with the Edit Shapes tool. But you can also create an arc from it that you can adjust as you want. Let's say that I want to change the color of my background now. What can I do? I can create a layer, select the color, slide it on the canvas, and it fill the entire layer, and it works. And here you can see my character hasn't been colored because I set it on reference, but I'm going to talk about that later. But there is an easier way to change the color of your background. Here I have a background color, and if I tap on it and select the color, it's going to change my background color. For coloring, I have different options. I can select my layer, choose a color, and then drag it into my layer. I'm going to reshow you because there is something very important to understand here. When you slide your color on your layer, you can see here that you have a blue bar that appears as long as you hold the pencil on the screen. And if you slide it while you keep it on the screen, it's going to adjust the way the color attacks your lines. And so you're going to have different options of filling. So if I want that my color cover a lot of part of my drawing, I can slide it to the right and adjust it this way. And I adjust this way how my color going to fill my drawing. To the opposite, if I want something that covers a certain part of my drawing, I can slide it to the left and it's gonna lower down the filling. This is one way to color, but there is many more ways to know about. So for coloring with the reference tool, I have to tap one time on my main layer, click on reference, then choose another layer, and you can just slide your colors like that and adjust the color thresholds. And everything that you're going to slide on that new empty layer are going to be contained into the shape of the layer you have set as a reference. This is another way to color something in Procreate. But you can see it is not perfect, and there is still some other way to color too. Another way to color in Procreate is by selecting a layer. So I'm going to delete the previous layer and show you. So first I'm going to color very roughly my drawing with a big brush, and I'm going to erase everything that has been out of my line. And now here I have my color that has been made, and now you can see that I have one layer for the line art and one layer for the color. And now I'm going to use the alpha lock. For that I need to swipe to the right with two fingers the layer I want to lock, and you're going to see in the background of my layer picture that the background has changed. It is composed now of gray and white square. It means that the alpha lock has been turned on, and now you can only color on the pixel that has already been filled. So for example, if I select a very big brush size and I start to color my character, you're gonna see that I can only color into the part of my layer that has been colored. I can't draw something outside of that. So this is one of the most important things to know in Procreate, because it allows you to make some shading without having the hassle to erase every tiny bit of color that has been getting out of your line, and it is a complete time saver. But there's another way to color, and that's the most important one to my opinion. I'm gonna turn off the alpha lock by sweeping it to the right again. I'm gonna create another layer on top of my colored layer. You tap one time on your colored layer and tap on select. Then you go back on your new layers, and now everything you're gonna draw gonna be contained into the layer you have previously selected. So I'm gonna show you. Make sure first that you have selected your brush tools, and now you can see that everything is contained only into the layer we have selected before, despite the fact we are coloring on a new layer. So this is very good for doing some works like testing some colors, texture, without destructing everything. Let's say here that you only want to change the color of his vest and hood. I'm gonna select a color, and now I can retake the part that I want and have it on a separate layer. And after that you can unselect it, and if you go back and want to change the color of your main colored layer, you can turn on the alpha lock, and you can either drag a color to your layer or just paint with a big brush, and you can work more accurately and quickly on the color of your drawing. That's a very handy tools to know. Now that you have colored something that you like, what can you do with that? Let's say that now you have blocked some shapes, you want to recolor it, try some new things. You go to your adjustment menu, and you have a lot of stuff at the bottom related to coloring. We're gonna see together hue, saturation, brightness. You tap on it, and a new menu appears. You have some bars that you can adjust in sweeping them to the left or to the right. One for the hue, one for the saturation, and of course one for the brightness. If you want to go back to your original color, you just have to click on reset, and that's it. Let's say that you want to change the color balance. You click on color balance, and here you're going to be able to change 3 parameters: highlight, midtones, and shadow. And you just have to slide the bar as you wish. It is as easy as that, and if I don't like what I do, I can go back to reset again. And you can also adjust the curve settings. So how it works: you have a curves, and you can select or create nodes on that curves, and it's gonna interact with the primary color that you have selected on the right side of the screen. Composite means that you can select all the colors and you can just create some new nodes in just selecting the curves and move it as you want. This can be pretty handy when you don't know how to color your drawing yet. You can experiment quickly and see how color interact together. And you can do that for the primary color as well. You adjust the curves, create nodes like we have seen before. And again, you click on reset if you are not satisfied with your color. If you want to select the color, you just put your finger on the screen and hold it for a second, like this, and it's gonna appear here. So look at here, I tap here and it changes. It is as easy as that, and after that you can move it into a palette of your choice if you want to store the colors. That's up to you. One other things to know about colors. First, I'm gonna go to another drawing. So let's say this one for example. When you click on a layer, you can see a little letter N at the right of your layer. The N is for the blend mode. Here the letter N stands for normal. How the blend mode works. Basically, it interacts with the other color that you have around your layer by adding or subtracting a percentage of color, shadow, brightness, opacity, depending the blend mode you have selected. So basically, you click on one of the blend mode available and it's gonna interact with all the color around. So to make it more obvious, if I zoom right here, oh no, not your Siri, I click on one of the layer I want to work on. You can see that changing the blend mode can change the color, the opacity, the light, etc. And you have different submenu that allows you to do a bunch of different stuff. Oh, this one is pretty nice actually. It gives a kind of retro effect, like vintage photo. But yeah, whatever. And if you don't like it, you can just click on it again and you go back to normal. Another thing you can do is also create layer mask for adding texture. So for that, I'm gonna introduce you someone. Here's Baby Boy. Hello. And I'm gonna use Baby Boy for creating a texture for one of my character. So I'm gonna go back to my gallery and choose a drawing. I'm gonna choose one of my cats. So yeah. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna detach my iPad. I'm gonna click on the screwdriver icon. I'm gonna go to add and I'm gonna choose take a photo. I'm gonna put Baby Boy like this and I'm gonna take a picture of that part of his furs. I'm gonna click on the run button to take a picture, and now you can see that here it says use photo. I'm gonna click on it and my picture is imported on its own layer. Now that I have it, I'm gonna use it for creating texture for my character. So I'm putting it on top of the layer I want to use it on, change the opacity, adjust the size of it to make it fit my character, and then create a layer mask. So for that, you tap one time on your layer, you choose mask, and you can see that this white layer appears here and that the color has turned black in the color wheel. And now I'm gonna paint in black, and everything that's gonna be painted in black gonna be masked without touching the original layer. So I'm gonna take a very big brush, and you can see that it disappears when I color in black. And if you check on the layer, you can see that the black colors appears on the white layer while my main layer is always the same. It is a non-destructive way to erase things in one specific layer. So now I have my texture that is correctly masked, and I can play as well with the blend mode to see what I can have with that. And you can see that it has different effects on my drawing. It creates different kind of texture depending the blend mode I'm using. That is a very handy tool for creating texture quickly in Procreate. And now we're gonna see how to create a brush. So let's say that I want to do something different with that brush. What I do is simply to sweep it to the left, click on duplicate. So like that, if I don't like the result, I can still have my original brush. So now I can tap on it and I arrive in the setting menu of my brush. So for example, if I want to change the shape of my brush, I can go to source and go to the Pro library, and I can take that for example. And in the grain source, I can choose something different. So let's say that I really want to create a new one. I just click on the plus, and for the source I can take that image, for the grain I can take that one, and now I have a new brush that is fully adjustable. The best thing to do with the brush is just to play around and see what fits your style. You can also import directly your own picture as a possible brush. This is completely possible. You just have to tap in your picture instead of swiping to the Pro library. That's completely fine. So for importing some new brush, what you need to do is to tap on the plus icon, Then tap in Import in the upper right side of the screen. By default, Procreate gonna send you in your iPad files, but I don't have brush on my iPad, so I'm gonna go on the internet. I have searched for brush Procreate into Safari, like you can see, and I'm gonna go on the Procreate website. There is a lot of artists that are sharing some brush there, so I have found some watercolor brushes that looks nice. I click on download, then I re-click on download, and it's gonna open a new window where you're gonna see open in Procreate, and you tap on import. It's gonna automatically import your brush. Sometimes your brushes that are freshly imported are at the bottom of your brush gallery, but here it is at the top, and now I can use them. The text tool is hidden in the setting menu. You have to click on add, and you can see the line add text. Tap on it, and it creates a new layer where you can edit text. You can't really see here because the text has the same color than my character. So I'm going to change the color just by clicking on the color wheel, and you can see my text changing of color. If you are out of the edit mode and you want to go back to it, you tap one time on your text layer and you click on edit text. And after that, you can go on edit style on the right side of the screen for changing the font, the margin, the size, etc. If you want to merge layers together, all you need to do is to pinch the layer you want to merge, and all the layers that are in between gonna be merged into a single layer. And sometimes, like it is too tight for merging them correctly with the finger gesture, you can also tap on the layer you want to merge, click on merge down, and it will merge to the layer that is just under it. What can I show you now? What I'm going to show you is how the Select Tools menu works. You can see on the bottom of the screen a new menu that appears, and we're going to take Distort, for example. Distort is a tool that allows you to distort the layer you have selected in any way you want, like you can see on the screen. You can create some effect. If you don't like it, you can click on Reset, but you also have other options like Fit to Screen, rotating your layer, etc. Now we're going to see the Warp tools. Here it is set on interpolation, and if I move one of the blue node in any direction, you can see that it warps my layer like a paper sheet. I can click on Reset if I want to go back, but I can also move it inside the grid that the interpolation has created over my layer, but that's not enough precise. So for that I can go on Advanced Mesh. Now you can see that I have a load of blue node that appears on my grid, and now I can adjust each one of them very precisely and distort my drawing as I want. And this is a very handy tool for experimenting or correcting some mistake in your drawing. Now I'm going to go back to the adjustment menu, and I'm going to select Liquify. So if I tap on it, you can see at the bottom that I have a lot of options. You have the size of my effect, the pressure, so I'm going to show you how it works on the balloon. If I select Push, as long as I stay pressed on the balloon, you can see that I can distort it. If I go on Twirl Right, it's going to twirl my balloon on the right. Twirl Left, going to do the same to the left. And it can do that on everything that is on the selected layer. I have Pinch, so Pinch gonna make my balloon smaller. You can do the same on Charlene, my little character. Expand gonna do the opposite. I have a crystal that's gonna participate to make the edges of my drawing very crystally. I don't like that much, that effect, but like this, you know it, and you have Reconstruct, but we don't need it. Now I'm gonna talk about the clipping mask. So I'm going to go back to this layer to showing you how it works. So here I have different layer. Let's say that I want in this layer, the yellow moon, we can see behind my characters, I want to put the layer with the trees. What I need to do is just I place my layer with the trees on top of the layer I want to put it to. I tap one time, I tap on clipping mask, and you can see that now my trees are clipped into my yellow moon layer. And if I change my mind, I can just tap again on clipping mask, and it's gonna unclip it. I can do the same with my yellow moon. I just have to move the layer on top of my tree, for example. I tap one time on my layer, I tap on clipping mask, and now you can see that my yellow moon is contained into the layers of my trees. Very handy. And finally, animated GIF. So it works by having Procreate reading your visible layer from bottom to top. All the layers that you have set on invisible will not be read. Here I have made a walk animation and I have to replace them into the same place for having a walk animation that loop quite fine. And then after that I resize them. And now if I go on the screwdriver icon and then in chair, I'm gonna have at the bottom animated GIF, and I'm gonna be able to see my animation. I can set the frame rates and I can export it in a full resolution, either as a GIF or also as separate images, which is perfect for people that are making, for example, video game. So here it is, you know now everything about Procreate. Well done. You can lose yourself in your drawing now, knowing how to do what you want. If you have found that video useful, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I'm making videos regularly and it's always about drawing. Thank you for watching and I will see you in the next video. Bye.